The massive space station hung in the void like a crystal flower. Its transparent walls caught the light from Proxima Centauri and threw rainbows across its surface. Ambassador Elena Vasquez pressed her face to the shuttle window and watched the station grow larger. She had seen pictures, but nothing prepared her for the real thing. "First time seeing the Council Station?" asked Captain Morrison, the shuttle pilot. "Yes," Elena said. "It's beautiful." "Beautiful and deadly," Morrison replied. "Remember that, Ambassador?" Elena nodded. She knew why she was here. The Galactic Council had called for emergency talks. The message had been clear and cold. Humanity had pushed too far, too fast. The Council wanted answers, and they wanted them now. The shuttle docked with a soft bump. Elena gathered her files and followed the escort down a long hallway. The walls were smooth and white, almost glowing. Alien symbols floated in the air, changing colors as she walked past them. The escort was a Zephyrian, one of the floating gas beings that looked like living clouds. It spoke without moving, its voice appearing directly in Elena's mind. "The Council waits," it said. "You will speak only when asked. You will answer all questions. You will not lie." "I understand," Elena said. The great chamber doors opened with a sound like singing crystal. Elena stepped inside and stopped. The room was huge, bigger than a football stadium. 12 platforms floated in a circle around a central space. On each platform sat a different alien species. Elena recognized them from her briefings. The Zephyrians looked like storm clouds with eyes. The Cricks were giant insects with too many legs and clicking mouths. The Silicon Commonwealth delegates were living rocks that glowed from within. The ethereal collective appeared as shifting lights that hurt to look at directly. There were others, too. The Hive Queens with their perfect insect bodies. The Aquatic Federation representatives in their water-filled suits. The Machine Collective with their metal bodies and glowing sensors. Each species represented billions of beings across hundreds of worlds. Elena walked to the center of the chamber. A small platform rose from the floor beneath her feet. She stood straight and waited. The Zephyrian Primarch spoke first. Its voice filled the chamber like thunder. "Human delegate," it said. "Your species has been found guilty of dangerous expansion. You spread across worlds like a disease. You take what is not yours. You refuse to follow proper protocols." Elena kept her face calm. "What protocols, Primarch?" "We were never given any." A clicking sound came from the Crick's platform. Their speaker was a massive insect with blade-like arms. "Ignorance is no excuse," it said. "All civilized species know the rules. Territory is claimed by right of discovery and development time. Your species violates these ancient laws." "Which laws?" Elena asked. "We have asked for copies of these laws many times. We have asked to join your council. We have offered trade agreements and cultural exchanges. All of our requests have been ignored." The Silicon Commonwealth delegate glowed brighter. Its voice sounded like grinding stone. "Your species is too young, too dangerous. You have not earned the right to know our laws." Elena felt anger rising in her chest, but she pushed it down. Getting angry would not help Earth now. "Then what do you want from us?" she asked. The ethereal collective's representative shifted into a new pattern of lights. When it spoke, the words seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Complete withdrawal," it said. "Your species will return to your birth system. You will abandon all colonies. You will cease all expansion activities. You will submit to monitoring to ensure compliance." Elena stared at the floating lights. "You want us to abandon 23 colonies? Millions of people live on those worlds. They have built homes, started families, created entire societies. They should have thought of that before settling on claimed territory," the Crick's delegate said. "Claimed by whom?" Elena demanded. "Those worlds had no native life, no structures, no signs of previous habitation. The laws of prior claim do not require physical presence," the Zephyrian Primarch said. "These worlds were surveyed and catalogued by council species long before your kind left their birth world." Elena looked around the circle of alien faces. Some looked like they enjoyed her confusion. Others seemed bored, as if this was just routine business. "How long ago were these worlds claimed?" she asked. "That information is classified," the Machine Collective representative said. Its voice was flat and mechanical. "The age of claims does not matter. Law is law." Elena pulled out a data pad and checked her notes. "Our closest colony is 4 light-years from Earth. Humans have been living there for 30 years. Are you telling me this world was claimed before humans even developed spaceflight? Irrelevant, the Primarch said. Your species' ignorance of proper procedures does not grant you rights to claim territory. Then why didn't you stop us 30 years ago? Elena asked. Why wait until now? The Aquatic Federation delegate made a bubbling sound through its water suit. Your species was thought to be primitive. We expected you to fail and abandon your colonies naturally. Instead, you have thrived and expanded. This was not expected? Elena felt a chill run down her spine. These beings had been watching humanity for decades. They had expected humans to fail, to give up, to crawl back to Earth defeated. When that didn't happen, they decided to force the issue. What if we refuse? Elena asked quietly. The chamber fell silent. The only sound was the hum of life support systems and the gentle whoosh of air circulation. The Zephyrian Primarch floated closer to Elena's platform. Its cloud-like body darkened to storm colors. Your species controls one system and 23 small colonies, it said. The Council controls 12 species across 4,000 systems. Our combined fleets number in the millions. Our technology is advanced beyond your understanding. Your choice is simple, comply or be destroyed. Elena looked up at the massive alien. How long do we have to decide? 72 standard hours, the Primarch said. You will return to your leaders with our terms. You will obtain their answer. You will return here with their response. And if our answer is no, the Crix delegates' blade arms clicked together. Then your species will learn the price of defying the Council. Your colonies will be occupied. Your fleets will be destroyed. Your people will be relocated to designated areas for monitoring. Elena nodded slowly. She had expected this, but hearing it spoken aloud still felt like a punch to the stomach. I will carry your message to my government, she said. Good, the Primarch said. You may go. Elena turned to leave, then stopped. May I ask one question? The Primarch's form flickered with annoyance. Speak quickly. You say you have watched us for decades. You say your technology is far advanced. You control thousands of worlds and millions of ships. If we are so primitive and weak, why are you afraid of us? The chamber erupted in angry sounds. Clicks, howls, grinding noises, and bursts of static filled the air. The Primarch's form turned black as a thunderstorm. We are not afraid of you, it roared. We simply maintain order. Your species threatens that order through reckless expansion and disregard for proper authority. Elena smiled slightly. I see. Thank you for clarifying. She walked out of the chamber with alien voices shouting behind her. As the great doors closed, she heard the Primarch's final words. 72 hours, human. Do not test our patience further. Elena made her way back to the shuttle. Captain Morrison was waiting, his face tense. How did it go? He asked. About as expected, Elena said. Take us home, Captain. We have a lot of work to do. As the shuttle pulled away from the crystal station, Elena looked back at the alien structure. Somewhere in that beautiful, deadly place, 12 species were planning humanity's destruction. They thought they held all the cards. They thought humans would submit or be crushed. Elena touched the small device hidden in her jacket pocket. The Council had made one critical mistake. They had underestimated exactly how long humans had been preparing for this moment. Elena stood before the Galactic Council for the second time in 3 days. The chamber looked the same, but the mood was different. The alien delegates seemed more relaxed, more confident. They believed they already knew her answer. The Zephyrian Primarch floated in the center of its platform, its cloud-like body a calm blue color. Human delegate, it said, you have had sufficient time to consult with your leaders. What is your species' response to our terms? Elena looked around the chamber. 12 species, thousands of years old, masters of the galaxy. They had seen civilizations rise and fall. They had crushed rebellions and enforced their will across countless worlds. In their minds, humanity was just another young species that needed to be taught its place. Before I give our answer, Elena said, I want to make sure I understand your position correctly. The Crix delegate's blade arms clicked impatiently. Speak quickly. We do not have time for delays. You want humanity to abandon all colonies outside our birth system? Elena said. You want us to accept permanent quarantine. You want us to submit to monitoring by your forces. In exchange, you will allow Earth to continue existing. Correct, the Silicon Commonwealth representative said. Its rocky body glowed a satisfied orange. Your species will be allowed to develop within appropriate limits. Elena nodded slowly. And if we refuse, you will destroy our colonies and relocate our people to designated areas. Also correct, the Primarch said. These are the only options available to your species. Elena pulled out a datapad and pretended to read from it. She had memorized her response hours ago, but the delay gave her time to study the alien faces around her. Most looked bored. A few seemed eager to get this over with. None of them looked worried. Our government has carefully considered your offer, Elena said. And? The Ethereal Collective's representative prompted. Its light patterns showed growing impatience. Elena looked up from her datapad. We reject your ultimatum. The chamber fell silent. For a moment, no one moved or spoke. Then the Primarch's form darkened to storm colors. You reject our terms? It said. Do you understand what this means? Yes, Elena said calmly. It means we refuse to surrender our freedom based on laws we've never seen, claims we can't verify, and threats from species who won't treat us as equals. The Crix delegate rose from its platform, its massive insect body trembling with rage. You dare defy the Council? You primitive creatures think you can stand against the combined might of 12 species? Elena smiled. We're not standing against you. We're walking away from you. The Machine Collective representative's sensors glowed brighter. Explain this statement. Simple, Elena said. Humanity withdraws from all diplomatic contact with the Galactic Council. We will no longer attend your meetings. We will no longer request membership in your organization. We will no longer ask for copies of your laws or trade agreements. Effective immediately. The Council and humanity have no official relationship. The Aquatic Federation delegate made confused bubbling sounds through its water suit. This changes nothing. You must still comply with our demands. Must we? Elena asked. She reached into her jacket and pulled out a small device. With one quick motion, she activated it. Holographic displays filled the chamber. Images of ships, stations, and planets appeared in the air around Elena. Data streams flowed like rivers of light. The aliens stared in shock as detailed scans of their military forces played out before them. These are your fleet positions, Elena said, updated as of 6 hours ago. These are your shipyard locations, your military command centers, your defensive installations. She gestured to a new set of images. These are the orbital defenses around your homeworlds. The Primarch's form turned black as deep space. How did you obtain classified military intelligence? Elena's smile grew wider. The same way we obtained everything else. We watched. We learned. We prepared. She touched the device again and new images appeared. These are the technical specifications for your shield generators. These are the weaknesses in your hull designs. These are the frequencies your communication systems use. The Crix delegate's blade arms slashed through the air. Impossible. Our security is perfect. No one can penetrate Council defenses. No one ever tried before, Elena said. You see, the Council has a fundamental problem. You've been the dominant power for so long that you've forgotten how to be careful. Your security is designed to keep out species that follow your rules, that respect your authority, that fear your power. She gestured to more holographic displays. Humans don't follow rules we've never agreed to. We don't respect authority that refuses to recognize us as equals, and we don't fear power that we've already figured out how to defeat. The Silicon Commonwealth delegate's glow shifted to angry red. You threaten the Council? No, Elena said. I'm simply pointing out that your threat to destroy us is based on outdated information. You assume we're helpless because we asked for talks instead of attacking. You think we're weak because we offered trade instead of demanding tribute. The Ethereal Collective's lights flashed in rapid patterns. Your species is primitive. Your technology is centuries behind ours, Elena laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. Our technology was centuries behind yours. Past tense. Do you know what humans do when we encounter something more advanced than us? We take it apart. We study it. We improve it. New images filled the chamber. Sleek ships with designs that borrowed from multiple Council species. Weapons that combined human engineering with alien technology. Defensive systems that used principles the Council thought were secret. Every trading mission to Council space included intelligence gathering, Elena said. Every diplomatic meeting was a chance to scan your technology. Every cultural exchange let us study your weaknesses. You invited us into your space, showed us your capabilities, and expected us to be impressed into submission. The Primarch moved closer to Elena's platform. You have violated every principle of civilized conduct. According to laws you refuse to share with us, Elena replied. According to protocols you wouldn't explain. According to standards you never bothered to teach us. She deactivated the holographic display. You wanted to treat us like animals in a cage. You should have remembered that the most dangerous animals are the ones that look tame. The Machine Collective representative's voice was flat and emotionless. What are your intentions? Elena straightened her jacket and picked up her data pad. I'm returning to human space. This conversation is over. You cannot simply leave, the Aquatic Federation delegate said. You must respond to our ultimatum. I just did, Elena said. We reject your authority. We withdraw from your jurisdiction. We're done talking. She turned and walked toward the chamber doors. Behind her, alien voices rose in anger and confusion. Stop, the Primarch commanded. You will comply with Council authority. Elena paused at the chamber doors. Council authority extends only to Council members. Humanity was never admitted to your Council, remember? That makes us free agents. We will destroy you, the Crix delegate snarled. Elena looked back over her shoulder. You can try. The great doors opened and Elena walked out. The last thing she heard was the Primarch's voice filled with rage. Prepare the fleets! All Council species will mobilize for immediate action. Elena smiled as she made her way to the shuttle bay. The Council was reacting exactly as human intelligence had predicted. They were angry, confused, and preparing to do something stupid. Captain Morrison was waiting at the shuttle, his face tense. How did it go, Ambassador? Perfectly, Elena said. Signal all human installations. Execute Protocol 7 immediately. Morrison's eyes widened. Protocol 7? Are you sure? Completely sure, Elena said. It's time to disappear. As their shuttle pulled away from the Crystal Station, Elena watched the Council's defensive platforms move into alert positions. Emergency lights flashed across the alien structure. She could imagine the chaos inside as 12 species tried to coordinate a response to humanity's defiance. Let them plan, she thought. Let them mobilize their fleets and prepare their weapons. By the time they reached human space, there would be nothing there to find. The Council had made a critical mistake. They thought the only options were submission or destruction. They never considered that humans might have a third choice, vanishing completely and then returning when least expected. Elena touched her jacket pocket, where a secure communicator waited for her signal. Across human space, military commanders were opening sealed orders and beginning the most complex operation in human history. The Council wanted humanity gone from the galaxy. They were about to get their wish, but not in the way they expected. Admiral Kethvar of the Hegemony First Fleet stood on his command bridge and watched the human colony of New Eden grow larger on the main screen. His ships had traveled for 6 days to reach the system, and he expected to find exactly what his intelligence reports predicted, a small, frightened human settlement ready to surrender. Scan results, Commander, he asked his tactical officer. The young Zephyrian's form flickered with confusion. Sir, I'm reading no life signs on the planet's surface. No energy signatures, no communications traffic, Kethvar frowned. His species, the Hegemony, had been the Council's military arm for 3,000 years. He had conquered dozens of rebellious worlds and never encountered anything like this. Expand the scan, he ordered. Check for hidden settlements or underground facilities. Sir, the tactical officer said after several minutes, the planet shows signs of recent habitation, cities, farms, industrial facilities, but they're all empty. It's like the entire population just vanished. Through the fleet communications channel, similar reports came from the other task forces. Admiral Zixthara of the Crix Battle Group reported empty colonies at Alpha Centauri. Commander Velnash of the Silicon Commonwealth found deserted settlements in the Tau Ceti system. 23 human colonies, all empty. Not destroyed, not evacuated under siege, just gone. Sir, the communications officer said, we're receiving a transmission. It's broadcasting on all frequencies. Put it through, Kethvar said. A human voice filled the bridge, speaking in clear galactic standard. To all Council forces currently investigating former human colonies, you wanted us contained to one system. You should have been more specific about which one. The message repeated 3 times, then cut off. Kethvar stared at the empty planet below. Where had an entire colonial population gone? How had they moved millions of people without the Council's surveillance networks detecting it? Admiral, his sensor officer called out, I'm detecting something unusual. Report. There's a distortion in local space, approximately 2 million kilometers from our position. It could be a sensor malfunction or... The officer never finished the sentence. Space around the hegemony fleet suddenly filled with ships. They appeared without warning, decloaking like phantoms emerging from the void. Sleek vessels with unfamiliar designs surrounded Kethvar's battle group. The human ships were smaller than Council vessels, but there were dozens of them, and their weapons were already charging. Impossible, Kethvar breathed. Our sensors would have detected them. Sir, the tactical officer said, its form now bright with panic. Their technology, it's not entirely human. I'm seeing Crick's hull reinforcement patterns, Zephyrian energy matrix designs, Silicon Commonwealth shield generators. Kethvar's blood ran cold. The humans hadn't just hidden their ships. They had improved them using Council technology. The lead human vessel opened a communication channel. Hegemony Fleet Admiral Kethvar, a woman's voice said. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earthship Indomitable. You are trespassing in human space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Kethvar activated his own communications. Human vessel, you are outgunned and outnumbered. Surrender now and your crews will be treated according to Council protocols. Captain Chen's laughter echoed across the bridge. Admiral, you might want to check your tactical display again. Kethvar looked at his screens and felt his confidence crumble. More human ships were decloaking throughout the system. Not dozens now, but hundreds. His fleet of 48 vessels was completely surrounded. How is this possible? He whispered. Simple, Chen replied. You assumed we were primitive because we asked for negotiations instead of attacking. You thought we were weak because we offered trade instead of conquest. You never considered that we might be buying time to prepare for this exact moment. Kethvar's tactical officer turned to him, its form now pale with fear. Sir, their weapons configurations. They're specifically designed to counter our defensive systems. All ships attack formation, Kethvar ordered. Engage the enemy. The hegemony fleet moved to attack, but the human ships were ready. They didn't fight like any species Kethvar had ever faced. There was no honor in their tactics, no adherence to traditional combat doctrine. They struck from unexpected angles, used their smaller size to dart between larger ships, and targeted specific systems with surgical precision. Within minutes, 3 hegemony vessels were disabled. Their shields had been stripped away by weapons that seemed to know exactly where to hit. Their engines were destroyed by missiles that slipped through defensive grids that should have been impenetrable. Sir, the communications officer called out, we're receiving distress signals from Admiral Zixthera's fleet at Alpha Centauri. They're under attack by human forces. What? Kethvar demanded. That's impossible. The humans can't be in 2 places at once. More reports flooded in. Commander Velnash was engaged with human ships at Tau. Seti. Admiral Mordain of the Aquatic Federation was under attack at Wolf 359. Every Council task force that had entered human space was simultaneously engaged with enemy forces, sir, the tactical officer said. I'm detecting massive structural damage to our main battle cruiser. The humans are using some kind of plasma torpedo that burns through our hull plating like it's paper. Kethvar watched his flagship sister ship break apart under concentrated human fire. The vessel that had been built to last 1,000 years was destroyed in less than 10 minutes. All ships retreat, he ordered. Fall back to the rally point. But the human ships didn't let them go easily. They pursued the fleeing Council forces, picking off damaged vessels and capturing others intact. Kethvar's own ship barely escaped, its hull scarred and its crew demoralized. As they jumped to hyperspace, Kethvar received a final transmission from Captain Chen. Tell the Council that humanity sends its regards. The retreat was chaotic and humiliating. Of the 300 ships that had entered human space, less than half made it back to Council territory. The survivors brought with them reports that shook the Council to its core. Kethvar stood before the emergency session of the Galactic Council, his uniform still bearing scorch marks from the battle. The chamber was in chaos as representatives from all 12 species shouted accusations and demands for explanations. The humans had superior numbers, he reported. Their technology was advanced beyond our intelligence estimates. They knew our tactical doctrines and had specific countermeasures for all our defensive systems. The Zephyrian Primarch's form darkened to storm colors. How could a primitive species defeat our combined fleets? They're not primitive, Kethvar said quietly. I don't think they ever were. We assumed their peaceful overtures meant weakness. We thought their requests for trade were signs of dependence. We were wrong about everything. The Krix delegates' blade arms clashed together. Our intelligence reports clearly stated that human technology was centuries behind ours. Your intelligence reports were based on what the humans wanted us to see, Kethvar replied. Every trade mission, every diplomatic contact, every cultural exchange was an opportunity for them to study us while showing us only what they wanted us to know. The Silicon Commonwealth representative glowed an angry red. You're saying they've been planning this for years? Decades, Kethvar said. Maybe since first contact. They asked for copies of our laws not because they wanted to follow them, but because they wanted to know what rules we expected them to break. They requested council membership not because they needed our approval, but because they wanted access to our technology and intelligence. The ethereal collective's lights flashed in rapid, agitated patterns. This is impossible. No species has ever successfully deceived the council for so long. No species ever had to, Kethvar replied. We've always been the dominant power. We've never faced an enemy that was smart enough to pretend to be weaker than they actually were. The machine collective representative processed this information with mechanical precision. Estimated human military capability? Kethvar looked around the chamber at the faces of species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia. Unknown. What we saw could have been a fraction of their true strength. They made our most advanced fleets look like training exercises. The Primarch's form grew larger, filling more of its platform. This cannot be allowed to stand. We must mobilize every ship, every weapon. We must crush this human rebellion before it spreads. With what ships? Kethvar asked quietly. Half our fleet is destroyed or captured. The other half is demoralized and questioning whether we can actually win a war against these humans. The chamber fell silent. For the first time in thousands of years, the Galactic Council faced an enemy they couldn't intimidate, couldn't overwhelm, and couldn't understand. In the silence, a new communication arrived. The image of Ambassador Elena Vasquez appeared in the center of the chamber, her expression calm and professional. Council members, she said, humanity would like to schedule a follow-up meeting to discuss new terms for coexistence in the galaxy. I believe you'll find our latest proposal much more reasonable than our previous submissions. The transmission ended, leaving the council staring at empty air and contemplating the fact that their ultimatum had just been turned back on them. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable and watched the tactical display with satisfaction. 3 council fleets were retreating from human space, their formations broken and their spirits crushed. But the real operation was just beginning. Communications, she said. Signal all task forces. Execute Phase 2. Across human space, military commanders opened sealed orders that had been prepared months in advance. The retreat of council forces had been expected, planned for, and turned into an opportunity. Captain, her tactical officer reported, Admiral Martinez confirms that Phantom Fleet is ready for deployment. Admiral Okafor reports that Ghost Squadron is in position. All stealth units are standing by for your command. Sarah nodded. The council thought they had seen humanity's full strength. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Execute counterstrike, she ordered. Throughout the galaxy, human ships that had been hiding for weeks suddenly revealed themselves. They emerged from asteroid fields, decloaked near gas giants, and dropped out of hyperspace in systems the council thought were secure. The humans didn't target random locations. Every strike was carefully planned to hit specific critical infrastructure. Military shipyards where council fleets were built, command centers that coordinated defensive operations, communication relays that connected council space. Admiral Torres led the assault on the Krix Collective's primary shipyard. Her task force appeared without warning in the Zerian system, where massive insect ships were under construction in orbital facilities that stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Target the construction base first, Torres ordered. Disable their ability to build new ships. The human vessels moved with precision that stunned the Krix defenders. Plasma torpedoes punched through the shipyard's defensive screens and detonated inside construction facilities. Hundreds of partially built vessels were destroyed before they could ever launch. Meanwhile, Captain Rodriguez infiltrated the Silicon Commonwealth Central Command Station at Lithios Prime. His stealth ships had been hiding in the system for 2 weeks, disguised as asteroids and debris. Commence data extraction, Rodriguez commanded. Download everything. Fleet positions, defensive protocols, communication codes. The Commonwealth's crystalline defenders tried to respond, but their weapons couldn't lock onto targets they couldn't see. Human ships equipped with advanced cloaking technology struck like ghosts, taking what they needed and vanishing before effective resistance could be organized. The most audacious operation was led by Commander Kim at the Hegemony's Strategic Planning Center. Her team didn't just attack the facility, they captured it intact. "Secure all data cores," Kim ordered as her Marines stormed through the station's corridors. "I want every battle plan, every tactical assessment, every strategic analysis they have." The Hegemony defenders fought bravely, but they had never faced human soldiers in close combat. Where alien warriors relied on energy weapons and formal tactics, humans used projectile weapons, explosives, and brutal efficiency. Within 6 hours, the station was in human hands. Kim stood in the central command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the Council's complete military structure. "Captain Chen," she reported over the communication link, "you need to see this. They have detailed plans for the complete occupation of human space. Military governors assigned to our colonies. Relocation camps for our populations. They weren't planning to just defeat us. They were planning to erase us." Sarah's face hardened as she reviewed the captured data. The Council's ultimatum hadn't been about territory or expansion rights. It had been about eliminating humanity as a potential threat. "Upload everything to the network," she said. "Make sure every human commander sees this." Across the fleet, human officers read the Council's true intentions. The aliens hadn't just wanted surrender. They had wanted complete subjugation. Any doubts about the righteousness of their cause evaporated. The counter-strikes continued for 18 hours. Human forces hit targets in all 12 Council territories, sometimes simultaneously, sometimes in carefully coordinated sequences that maximized damage and confusion. The Aquatic Federation lost 3 major naval bases when human submarine ships struck from the depths of their ocean worlds. The Machine Collective's primary processing centers were infected with computer viruses that turned their own systems against them. The Ethereal Collective's energy-based infrastructure was disrupted by weapons specifically designed to interfere with their exotic matter systems. But the most devastating blow came from an unexpected source. As Council forces struggled to respond to the attacks, they discovered that their intelligence networks had been completely compromised. General Harrison, commanding human special operations, revealed the true scope of their infiltration. For years, human traders had been placing monitoring devices throughout Council space. Human diplomats had been mapping critical installations. Human cultural exchange students had been gathering intelligence on military capabilities and weaknesses. "Every time you refused to share information with us," Harrison explained in a broadcast to all Council forces, "we simply took it ourselves. Every time you denied us access to your technology, we studied it from discarded components and captured debris. Every time you treated us like primitives, we learned something new about your vulnerabilities." The revelation that humans had been operating intelligence networks throughout Council space for decades sent shockwaves through alien command structures. How many of their secure communications had been monitored? How many of their secret facilities had been mapped? How many of their classified technologies had been reverse-engineered? Council unity began to crack under the pressure. The Crix Collective accused the Hegemony of failing to provide adequate security. The Silicon Commonwealth questioned the Ethereal Collective's intelligence analysis. The Machine Collective demanded explanations for how biological entities had successfully hacked their quantum-encrypted systems. As the emergency council session convened, Admiral Kethvar delivered his second humiliating report in 3 days. "The humans have struck simultaneously across 12 systems," he said. "Their intelligence was perfect. They knew exactly where to hit us for maximum damage with minimum effort." The Zephyrian Primarch's form flickered with stress patterns. "How extensive are our losses?" 40% of our shipbuilding capacity is offline," Kethvar reported. 60% of our strategic communications network is compromised. Our central command structures have been penetrated and classified information has been stolen." The Crix delegates' blade arms trembled with rage. "This is impossible. The humans had 23 small colonies. How can they field enough ships to attack all our territories simultaneously?" "Because those colonies were never their real strength," Kethvar said quietly. "The colonies were bait. They wanted us to focus on those settlements while they built their actual military infrastructure somewhere else." "Where?" the Primarch demanded. "We don't know," Kethvar admitted. Our long-range sensors show no signs of major human installations beyond their original colonies. Either they're using cloaking technology we can't detect, or they've found a way to hide entire fleets in plain sight. The Silicon Commonwealth representative's glow shifted to worried yellow. What are your recommendations, Admiral? Kethvar looked around the chamber at the faces of species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia. For the first time in his military career, he felt truly afraid. Immediate ceasefire, he said. Open negotiations. Find out what the humans actually want before they decide to demonstrate more of their capabilities. The Primarch's form darkened. The Council does not negotiate with rebels. Respectfully, Primarch, Kethvar said, these aren't rebels. Rebels fight against established authority. The humans never recognized our authority in the first place. They've been fighting a completely different war than we thought we were starting. As if summoned by his words, a new transmission appeared in the chamber. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood in what appeared to be a military command center, surrounded by displays showing real-time footage of the attacks on Council installations. Council members, she said calmly, I hope this demonstration has clarified the situation. Humanity is not seeking your permission to exist. We are not requesting membership in your organization. We are not asking for your protection or guidance. She gestured to the tactical displays behind her. We are informing you that the galaxy has changed. The age of Council dominance is over. You can adapt to this new reality, or you can continue to fight a war you cannot win. The transmission paused, and Elena's expression became almost sympathetic. You made one critical error in your calculations. You assumed that because we appeared peaceful, we were weak. You never considered that we might be peaceful, because we were already strong enough that we didn't need to prove it. The image shifted to show human fleets patrolling space that had been Council territory just days before. Your ultimatum has been answered. The question now is whether you're wise enough to accept the new terms we're offering. The transmission ended, leaving the Council in stunned silence. Outside the chamber windows, emergency lights flashed as reports of new human attacks continued to arrive. 6 months after the failed ultimatum, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. Scorch marks on the walls told the story of human raids that had penetrated even this supposedly impregnable station. Emergency repairs were visible everywhere, reminders that the Council's power was no longer absolute. Ambassador Elena Vasquez walked through the same corridors where she had once been escorted like a prisoner. Now Council security forces stepped aside respectfully as she passed. The Zephyrian guards no longer projected thoughts of superiority into her mind. Instead, they maintained careful mental silence. The great chamber doors opened to reveal a scene that would have been unthinkable a year ago. The 12 platforms that had once held the galaxy's most powerful species now showed the strain of months of conflict. Several platforms stood empty. Those species had withdrawn from Council space entirely, seeking separate peace agreements with humanity. Elena took her place on a platform that rose from the chamber floor. But this time, her platform was not in the center as a supplicant. It was positioned as an equal among the remaining Council members. The Zephyrian Primarch floated on its platform, its cloud-like form a pale, defeated gray. When it spoke, its voice lacked the thunder that had once commanded respect across the galaxy. Human representative, it said quietly. The Council is prepared to discuss terms for ending hostilities. Elena looked around the chamber. The Crix delegate's blade arms hung limply at its sides. The Silicon Commonwealth representative glowed a dim, neutral color. The machine collective's sensors were focused downward, unable to meet her gaze. I'm pleased to hear that, Elena said. However, I should clarify something from the beginning. I'm not here to end hostilities. I'm here to formalize humanity's position as the dominant power in this galaxy. The words hung in the air like a physical weight. 6 months ago, such a statement would have provoked outrage and threats. Now, it was simply acknowledged as fact. The Aquatic Federation delegate made a weak bubbling sound through its water suit. What are your terms? Elena activated a holographic display that showed the current state of the galaxy. Red zones marked areas under human control. Yellow zones showed regions where human and Council forces maintained an uneasy coexistence. Green zones represented the handful of systems still under full Council authority. The new reality is quite simple, Elena said. The Council will withdraw all military forces to your core systems. You will cease all expansion activities beyond your home territories. You will submit to monitoring by human observers to ensure compliance with these restrictions. The Primarch's form flickered with distress. These are the same terms we offered to you. Exactly, Elena replied. With one important difference. When we offered them to you, we were still pretending to be weak. When you offered them to us, you actually believed you were strong. The Silicon Commonwealth representative managed a weak glow. This is impossible. The Council has ruled this galaxy for 3,000 years. Elena's smile was cold but not without sympathy. And for most of those years, you ruled wisely. You maintained peace, promoted trade, and prevented major wars. But you made one critical mistake. You confused control with leadership. She gestured to the holographic display, which now showed human fleets patrolling former Council space. Real leadership doesn't require threats and ultimatums. It doesn't demand submission from equals. It doesn't refuse to share knowledge or technology with species capable of contributing to galactic civilization. The Crix delegate finally looked up, its compound eyes reflecting the chamber lights. What will happen to our peoples? Nothing if you accept the new arrangement, Elena said. Your species will continue to govern your home systems. Your cultures will be preserved. Your trade networks will be protected. The only thing that changes is that you're no longer in charge of everyone else. The machine collective representative processed this information with mechanical precision. Acceptable parameters for continued existence? Elena nodded. Completely acceptable. Humanity has no interest in ruling other species. We're not conquerors. We're explorers. We want to see what's beyond the next star. What wonders exist in unexplored space? What new forms of life might be waiting to join galactic civilization? She paused and looked directly at each remaining council member. What we won't tolerate is being told where we can go, what we can do, or how fast we can grow by species who refuse to treat us as equals. The ethereal collective's lights shifted into new patterns, conveying a complex mix of resignation and curiosity. The galaxy will change significantly under human leadership. Yes, it will, Elena agreed. For the first time in millennia, there will be no restrictions on exploration beyond the galactic rim. Species that want to expand and explore will be free to do so. New technologies will be shared openly instead of hoarded by a privileged few. The Primarch's form brightened slightly. And species that prefer stability, that do not wish to change, will be left alone, Elena said firmly. Humanity believes in voluntary association. Join us if you want to explore new frontiers. Stay home if you prefer your current way of life. The choice is yours. The Aquatic Federation delegate made hopeful bubbling sounds. You would share your technology, even with former enemies? Elena's expression softened. We were never enemies. We were just on different sides of a misunderstanding. You thought we were a threat to be contained. We thought you were leaders to be reasoned with. Both of us were wrong, but that doesn't make us enemies. She activated a new set of holographic displays showing human research facilities and shipyards. We've already begun sharing our stealth technology with the Centauri Republic. We're helping the Vegan Commonwealth rebuild their damaged infrastructure. 3 species that chose to ally with us early are receiving full access to our military innovations. The Crix delegates' blade arms clicked together nervously. And those who resisted? Are being offered the same deals, Elena said. Humanity doesn't believe in permanent punishment for temporary mistakes. You made decisions based on incomplete information and 3,000 years of precedent. We understand why you acted as you did. The chamber fell silent as the council members processed this information. They had expected demands for tribute, territory, or revenge. Instead, they were being offered partnership on equal terms. The Primarch finally spoke, its voice carrying a note of wonder. Why? You have the power to destroy us, to take whatever you want. Why offer cooperation instead of demanding submission? Elena stood up from her platform and walked to the center of the chamber. Because that's not who we are. Humans don't want to rule the galaxy. We want to explore it. We don't want subjects. We want partners. We don't want an empire. We want a community. She gestured to the holographic displays showing human ships working alongside alien vessels in joint operations. The universe is vast and full of wonders we can't even imagine yet. Why waste time fighting over what we already know when we could be working together to discover what we don't? The machine collective representative's sensors glowed brighter. Proposal. Formal alliance between remaining council species and human territories. Counter-proposal, Elena said with a smile. Dissolution of the Galactic Council and formation of the Galactic Cooperation Network. No species in charge of all the others, no permanent ruling body, just voluntary cooperation between equals. The Zephyrian Primarch's form began to show patterns Elena had never seen before. Hope mixed with uncertainty, fear balanced by possibility. You would trust us? It asked. After everything that has happened? Elena looked around the chamber one more time. These beings had tried to cage humanity, had planned to scatter human populations across the galaxy as prisoners. But they had acted from fear, not malice. They had followed ancient patterns, not evil intentions. Yes, she said simply. We'll trust you because trust is the only foundation for real cooperation. You made mistakes, but so did we. The difference is now we all know better. The Primarch's form brightened to colors Elena had never seen before. Then let us begin again. Let us learn what cooperation between equals can accomplish. As the emergency session transformed into the first planning meeting for a new kind of galactic organization, Elena allowed herself a moment of quiet satisfaction. The Council had wanted to force humanity into a cage. Instead, they had accidentally freed the entire galaxy from the cage of their own limitations. Outside the chamber windows, human and alien ships worked together to repair the damage from their brief, violent misunderstanding. In the distance, long-range scouts prepared for the first truly cooperative exploration missions beyond the galactic rim. The galaxy was no longer ruled by fear and ultimatums. It was governed by curiosity and possibility. And at the edge of known space, new stars waited to welcome the species bold enough to reach for them together. The age of human dominance had begun not with conquest, but with an invitation. Come explore the universe with us and see what wonders we might find.